Okay, what's going on everyone? Doc here, and today I want to talk about Wasp. Wasp is honestly one of my favorite characters in the game. She was my third rank 5, and I absolutely love her. She gets a way worse rep than she should, definitely because of her stats, being the second lowest block efficiency champion in the game, I believe, at only 40%. However, if you play Wasp right, with a heavy intercept style, using your heavy attack a lot, and baiting out specials, this really does not matter. Couple that with some insane damage that she can reach, along with some helpful utility, and she really deserves that god tier above god tier ranking in my opinion. So this is going to be how to play Wasp with a little bit of showing you why I think she is just a phenomenal character. Let's get started with her abilities. Wasp's most basic and most important ability is her heavy attack. So while Wasp charges a heavy attack while hitting with a basic attack combo, the opponent loses sight and gets passively stunned for 0.6 seconds. This means that it has to be during your combo, which means that it can't be after your second medium or your fourth light, but at any point during the combo it can be done. So normally I'll use it after the first medium or after the third light attack. So if you do your heavy attack this way, you will inflict weakness on the opponent, which will reduce their attack by 30%. This is a really underrated part of Wasp because now they're only doing 70% damage to you. So if you need to take more parries, then they're going to be doing reduced damage, and it helps out her block efficiency a lot. So even though her heavy attack crits twice, it's not part of her heavy attack that causes those crits. So whenever Wasp shrinks down, her next 2 hits will be critical, and every time she uses the heavy attack, she's shrinking down. So she also shrinks down during her SP1 and during her SP2. So that's how she gets the critical hits, not necessarily through her heavy attack. In addition to that, she also gets an increased critical rating for each debuff active on the opponent when she shrinks down. However, doing so, her counterattack, which is her evade, and I'll talk about that in a second, that gets disabled for 10 seconds. So when Wasp has class advantage as well, all of her abilities that are based on the combo meter, which are her SP1, SP2, and SP3, 3 bonuses there, receive an additional bonus equivalent to 40 more hits on the combo meter. So when fighting a Mystic champion, you get basically 40 more hits to whatever bonus that would be, and that has different effects based on the special attack. So when Wasp is attacked, she has a 8% chance to purify all degeneration, shock, poison, incinerate, and cold snap debuffs, and then shrink to evade. If you ever played against Wasp with Iceman, you'll know that she'll actually shrug that cold snap and then evade, so that won't stop her from evading. Anytime that she successfully evades an attack, she will then counterattack, which will inflict a shock debuff on the opponent. Now, I'm going to mention her Sig ability here because it mostly factors into her evade. She gains an additional 25% chance to evade, so let's say now 33% chance to evade and then shrink to counterattack when it's not on cooldown. However, her dupe also reduces the duration that counterattack is disabled by up to a max of 65% at Sig level 200 as a 5-star, and I believe it's a 60% at a max Sig 4-star. So that'll only be a 4 or 3.5 second counterattack disabled duration. So really good there, but not at all necessary for offense, only helpful for defense. Wasp SP1 has a 40% chance to stun the opponent for 2 seconds. In addition to that, you will place concussion on the opponent, and it's going to be reducing the opponent's ability actually by 1% for each hit on the combo meter. That's where that combo meter part comes in. So against a Mystic like Guillotine, because we have class advantage, it's going to add 40 hits on top of the 20 hits that she had when it actually landed. It's going to be a 60% ability accuracy reduction right there just off the bat from that concussion. Wasp SP2 also has a combo meter ability. So first off, it stings the opponent up to 5 times on the on each of the blaster hits there, and so the opponent with sting will take damage when activating a special attack. After lasting its full duration, the sting will convert to a petrified debuff. So even though you place 5 stings, you will only get 1 petrified debuff. You're not going to stack multiple petrified debuffs. And the petrified debuff lasts for 12 seconds. It's going to reduce the opponent's regeneration and power gain rate by a flat 1.75% for each hit on Wasp combo meter. So interesting thing about that is that it will stack infinitely, so you can eventually get to full reduction of the regeneration and power gain, and then you can start reversing it as well. So eventually, against someone like Wolverine, if you reach a high enough combo, the sting, the petrify that you get, if you can stop them from using a special attack, you can reverse healing by a lot. Finally, Wasp SP3, you gain an additional attack rating for each hit of the combo meter. So I put it right there in the text. 40 hits was a 5,550 increased attack on a 5-star R5 Wasp, which is a 200% increase from base attack just from having class advantage. If I was at 0 hits and this was a Mystic champion, I would be doing 300% attack rating just on one SP3, which is great. Again, just like the SP2, this will stack indefinitely, so you can reach insane levels of damage with this. Wasp has 3 unique synergies, plus she is part of a unique synergy on another champion. So first off, with Ant-Man or a Ghost, Counter Sting is never disabled when Wasp is below 20% health. This is never specifically mentioned that it gets disabled in any part of her abilities from my many readings of them, but it's just assumed that it happens. If you have both Ant-Man and Ghost, you also get a plus 25% attack at the start of a fight. With Yellow Jacket, when you intercept the opponent's dash attack and concussion isn't active from the SP1, you will place a concussion on the opponent, reducing their ability accuracy by 100% for 8 seconds, and it can be activated 3 times in a fight. Great if you need to reduce the opponent's ability accuracy in a little burst moment there. Very similar to that with Iron Man Infinity War or Iron Man, when you intercept the opponent's dash and Petrify is not active from the Sting running out of its duration, you will place a Petrify debuff on the opponent, reducing their regeneration power rate by a flat 100% for 8 seconds. Again, activated 3 times per fight. You can activate both of those at the same time. If you have both synergies active, you will place both the concussion and the petrify on the opponent. Now with Havoc has a unique synergy with Wasp that when Wasp charges a heavy attack while hitting with a basic attack combo, so when you would get that passive stun, you will also receive a passive fury effect on yourself, and it's increasing attack by 50% for 3 seconds. So really good damage there. In the gameplay that I have in Act 6, Chapter 2, Quest number 1, I'm going to be running the Iron Man Infinity War synergy for the Petrify, and I'm going to be running the Havoc synergy for that Fury. You're going to see both those active. However, I will not be getting that plus 25% bonus attack from the hard-to-hit synergy. I don't have all 3 of those champions as 5 stars or above, and I don't have Yellow Jacket either. So you'll see those 2 synergies, and I'll hop into gameplay now and show off. So like I said, I'm in Act 6, Chapter 2, Quest number 1, and I really want to show how Wasp does in endgame content, because one of the, I think, a lot of people's major issue with her is she's unsustainable. Really, what my goal here is to show her do an entire path in endgame content and do it well, without losing too much health. And a lot of champions don't really need to solo a path, but Wasp is able to do that in this. Granted, these are not too difficult fights, but these do give a general sense of a quest for basic fights with not too difficult nodes. So this is life cycle node. Every time you knock down the opponent, the duration of that shield increases, and you have a bigger chance to kill them. So if you get down with if the shield's up when you try to kill them, then it doesn't kill them. You heal 10%. I made a mistake there. I should have used a 3rd heavy attack because she wasn't at a bar of power, but that's fine. Lost a little bit of health there, but still gonna make it all the way through this path. This is a good one as well because it's 5 cosmic fights, 4 of them being the 4 different Miss Marvels in the game. And they all have evadable SP1s. The major rotation for Wasp is basically I get like 1, maybe 2 parries at the beginning of a fight, do those 6-hit heavy ending combos, and then bait out the SP1 and do another 6-hit combo. By the time that I get to my 2nd or 3rd combo, if they're below bar power, I do something like that and launch a special attack. Whenever I use a special attack, I chain it off a heavy. I'm running the Havoc synergy here, so I get that Fury attack, which increases the damage. But also it's just out of habit that I do that now, and it can be helpful. One thing that you notice against Miss Marvel Kamala Khan, I don't know if you all caught it, but the first hit of my SP1 changed on from my heavy attack didn't hit, but the 2nd and 3rd hits always will. Just a weird thing I've noticed with Wasp, but I've never had an issue with the 2nd and 3rd hits hitting, even if the 1st hit misses, as long as I chain on from that heavy attack. So it's basically just that kind of rotation that I said. I'm going to do it here. So I got that first parry. Then I'm going to intercept. The Petrify is coming from the Iron Infinity War synergy. So we're running 2 of those unique synergies I talked about earlier. And now here, I'm just going to bait out the SP1 and go in for a combo. Because she's not a bar of power, she's against the wall, I can just heavy attack again. Got that again. The Petrify is from the intercept. And yeah, that's basically Wasp's rotation. It's just about heavy attack and then using your SP2 when you get it. I use the SP2 because it has the most damage. It gets that power sting damage as well, which is another 11k damage on top of everything else. Just good to have. Not at all. Not super necessary. Sometimes you can even spam the SP1. I use Wasp for AQ actually, and I tend to spam the SP1 once or twice per fight, and that seems to work out pretty well. That's where I've noticed that SP1 issue, where the first it doesn't connect, but the second and third ones have always connected in my experience. So we're down 23% health in 3 fights. Really not doing too bad at all. Gonna lose a little bit more against Cap Marvel movie here though, because I don't really like fighting her as much, and that SP1's kind of difficult to evade if you don't get the timing perfect. But so I'm gonna try and not drop below 50% this whole quest, and for the most part I actually make it despite some really difficult fights. This also shows Wasp damage at a good level because it's not running class advantage, at least right now, but so the boss and the mini boss I'll both have class advantage against, which just makes the fights go a little bit faster. And I'm not going to be using the SP3 against either of them, so it's not like the damage is going to be higher than what you're normally going to see. Against Cap Marvel movie, she's almost down already, and you can see these fights are not taking too long at all. This really is endgame level stuff, 6.2, and she's absolutely having no issue with it. Right here, get another trick off of that life cycle thing, knock down the shield, the power sting is going to kill her. One of the many reasons that she's great for this node. The first one just being because I'm using my heavy attack so often, same with Dr. Doom, that I just get to knock him down so often that shield goes on cooldown so often, and I just extend the cooldown. Wasp has soloed 2 or 3 paths now on this quest, just because I wanted to try her out on this path, on this quest, and she's been phenomenal for it. She did the first one as a 5-star R4. So again, heavy chaining in the combo here. Ronin really isn't too difficult to fight, but I think I go for the SP3 here, get that Fury buff. And so 30 hits, it's 50% attack boost for every 10 hits, because 40 was 200, right? So it's going to be 150% increased attack here. And he goes from 46 down to 29 for 30k damage with that Fury buff, or Fury passive up. So not too bad at all. And again, that can stack infinitely. Only reaching damage caps and like Labyrinth of Legends and that kind of stuff. Another heavy chain combo, and he's down. Heavy chain combos against the wall are a great way to make sure they reach a bar of power. It also fits Wasp's kind of aggressive playstyle really well. Dormammu is not one that you would think Wasp can do. And I'm going to be honest, I got quite lucky here. First off, that the first precision buff coming away from dexterity did not cause degeneration. It is possible to evade Dormammu's SP1 without triggering dexterity all the time. But I got kind of lucky that I was just throwing it right away. Anyways, so really I've only had 1 dexterity trigger this entire time. Here I decided I have a high enough power level that I just parry him and then go in for the SP2. Doing damage with my doing damage with the SP2. It luckily got him to 1%, and the Power Sting was able to kill him, so a really good fight. And this is my favorite fight to do with Wasp up here, Sim Supreme. Fighting against Doctor Strange works the same way. So essentially I'm doing that 6-hit combo right off the start. I'm trying to go for the parry. I want to back him into the wall as fast as I can here. Because if you notice that he doesn't gain power, as Sim Supreme does, he doesn't gain power based on my hits. He gains his own passive power. Right there, I get the Petrify off the intercept, and that shuts down his passive power gain. Now I'm going to go for an SP2. He's just below a bar of power. Petrify goes away, he gets a little bit more, but I reapply it when he's low. and now the power stings are going away. They're activating another Petrify. He gets the power gain from switching stances, and it doesn't take. He's now super low. Shield comes back up at 1%, but we get that extra Petrify. Healing doesn't activate, and we kill him. 38 hits. He's just against the wall the whole time. We have total control over that fight. Great damage, and he's down. So now I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Thanks to Saint Ruin, who sent along this gameplay quite a while ago. I haven't really found a great use for it, but I figure this is a perfect use for it. This is some 6-star rank 2 Wasp gameplay. This is just phenomenal. He had a couple tricks that he actually showed me. This gameplay helped convince me to rank 4 and then eventually rank 5 my Wasp. So the first trick, you see those evade charges there from the Nick Fury synergy. You can actually purposely trigger her counter-strike and then increase her heavy damage because it's an extra debuff. So it's a really interesting trick there. If you use Nick Fury, I think it's Quake and someone else as the activators for that synergy, but it's a really interesting trick to use Wasp, especially if you need a shock damage or a shock debuff for anything. Just a really interesting trick there. These are master mode fights, so not too difficult, but he gets them down no problem. Now back into 6-2-1 actually, again on life cycle. So this is a different path this time with the same quest, but these are some interesting fights because they're a slightly different, less aggressive playstyle, and you can see how still little health Wasp loses. He's parrying a lot more often than I do, but he's using a very similar style of chaining heavies against the wall, and then using the heavies again when going into an SP2, but he's parrying a lot more often. That heal reversal's losing a little bit of health, but he doesn't have willpower, so it's not that bad. And then he chains into the SP2, and then Guillotine tries to use a special, and she's dead. I think that was like 3-4% health loss from quite a few parries there. 6-star definitely has a higher block efficiency than a 5-star, but this one's unduped as well, so anyone who gets a 6-star Wasp can do this kind of stuff. So now against Proxima Midnight, very similar, just focusing on the heavy attack, using that as much as possible. Again, that Havoc synergy is present, and then possibly the Ghost and Ant-Man synergy as well for the plus attack. I'm not 100% sure on that one, and because without the evade charges, he's not using Nick Fury here. Alright, so 2 heavy attacks, dodges the SP1, just like I have been doing, and I think he's going to start chaining in some heavy attacks here. And then he's going to get the parry so they can get that extra Fury off into the SP2. Does some insane damage, 11k on that hit. And then again, tries to use a special, and she's dead. Now, I believe this next video is a really, really cool one. Labyrinth of Legends, RHulk. So I'm going to show the whole fight, because St. Rune got the whole fight done, and he did an insane job. Slow it down a couple points here just to show off specific things that I want to show off, like some incredible damage and obviously the ending, but he gets the full kill in a really, really good amount of hits. So using the Havoc synergy, not that Nick Fury one again, definitely using the Ant-Man full synergy there. So goes in for a very good SP2, almost gets the parry there. Misses it there, but so now he's got the so pretty good damage from the first SP2, already 13% down, hasn't taken a hit yet, and only 34 something hits in. This is going down very quickly. It was like a 5-minute fight. I just didn't want to 5 to 7 minutes, somewhere in that range there. Getting all of that extra damage from that SP2 sting, chaining those heavy attacks in. You can see how that really comes in handy here. Just to build them over a bar of power, evade, and then just go right back in. Keep chaining it and not really doing any parries at all anymore here. SP2. Again, so one thing that he'll do later on in the fight is he'll use the SP2 when RHulk isn't at a bar of power. And that's what I try to do as well sometimes. It doesn't quite work out too well, but I'll talk about that when that part actually comes up here. So 64, still less than 100 hits in now. And this is a Labyrinth of Legends fight. 1.5 million health. Great SP2 there. Still, so many crits as well. Really increases the damage. Almost 20k, but he RHulk's decreasing the damage a little bit by the charges. Still doing some really good damage though. Well, 6Ks there. And 124 hits, he's below half now. I forget what percent extra. Ooh, got hit there. But again, didn't lose that much, only 23% really. It's losing a lot. He's losing a lot more through blocked hits than through those actual hits there, but he's still doing really well. First timer hasn't gone up yet, 40% now. Got to get back onto that high hit count. Still using a special every time. She is a great option for labyrinth for labyrinth fights. If you're like me, like Saint Ruin, you don't like those combo champions, then this is a great option. If you're prone to making small mistakes like that, then Wasp didn't even need any more ramp up again. Hasn't been focusing on using the SP3, so that's fine. It'd only be capped at 50k damage anyways, and I hit 30k with mine on a really short combo, so just doing some extra heavy attacks here. Still in that same rhythm that I talked about, using just combos heavy, baits the special. More champions than not have a evadable special. It really is no issue. So here is the big SP2. So a couple 11Ks there, a 6K. Goes right in 9K, 23,000. Because of all those stacked debuffs from that SP2, from those sting debuffs. Over 30,000 damage in a single heavy attack. Very, very few champions can hit that. I think Domino might be able to if you also factor in her damage from the synergy. Whilst doing this with the Havoc synergy, sure, but I don't actually know if Domino can even hit that, but they are easily comparable in their kind of burst damage, and Wasp's is so much more consistent than Havoc's than Domino's is. Finally, that SP2, 2 crits finishes him off. How many hits was that in total? Less than 250, an average of 6,200 damage per hit. Insane damage from Wasp. So that's going to wrap up this Wasp gameplay. Again, thanks to Saint Ruin for sending all that gameplay. Like I said, it was a while ago, and glad to finally found a good use for it. Wasp is insane. You saw the damage that she reaches and just how little damage that she took that whole fight. That was against the Labyrinth fight. Against those 6.2 fights, really did not have any issues at all. Your biggest factor when playing Wasp is if you make mistakes, you will lose, but that's how it goes in game content anyways. Wasp is just a phenomenal champion. Couple her massive damage with some really strong utility. You don't really need her synergies. They are nice to have, and obviously I use them to a pretty good effect against someone like Sim Supreme, stopping his power gain, and you can use the concussion to stop, say, Magic's evade, but you don't need those synergies. You can use the concussion, you can use the petrify from the SP2 to activate those utilities as well. Quick tip: if you don't want them to throw a special, as soon as you're done with the SP2, just solid hold block, and they're pretty unlikely to throw their special right away unless they're really aggressive AI. So that's pretty much going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. And before I go, by the time this video is live, I will be live as well testing out Squirrel Girl. So if you want to stop by after finishing this video, check it out. Or if you're a little bit behind, I've already stopped streaming, then you'll be able to check out the VOD on demand as well. So that wraps up the video on Wasp. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.